Captain, would you like to come up and say a few words?
Okay, good evening, everybody. My name's Captain Justin Diez. I see some couple new faces, and I see some regulars here, so welcome, everybody. So basically, I come every month, or almost every month, and just give the group a update on what's going on. And if you've been here the last year or so, generally our updates are very similar each month. But I try and change it up and try and give you guys information you can use to tell family and friends how to keep yourselves safe. Of course, we never want to worry, but we always want to be informed, right? So ultimately, the question I always get asked all day, every day is, how's crime in Santa Clarita, right? That's what people want to know. And really, because I think that we live in this giant city, right? The third largest city in the county, right? And you guys, everybody in this room that's grown up in Santa Clarita, and even if you're new to Santa Clarita, you know that this is this giant city, but it's got this small town feel. And we're very fortunate, right? How do we do it? I don't even know how we do it. We're very fortunate. It's probably a combination of many, many, many things that's been going on for many generations, and we're all very fortunate to be there, be in that position. But ultimately, when you think of Santa Clarita, you think of a safe city, right? You think of a place where you can drive your kids to soccer, you can go to the mall, you can go to Magic Mountain, whatever, and not have to worry about things, and that is very, very true. And ultimately what it comes down to is, regardless of what your beliefs are, regardless of where you grew up, regardless of your socioeconomic status, regardless of anything, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, it really comes down to public safety, right? Our low crime rate in Santa Clarita is what brings families here, what brings business here, it's what brings commerce here, and we've enjoyed that low crime rate for many, 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 many years, and we're very fortunate. So we've gotten some great accolades over the last couple of years, and I won't read them all because there's too many of them. But we've got these national publications that have given us these wonderful accolades, like MoneyGeek.com, 17th safest city in America, Advisor Smith, 8th safest mid-sized city in America, SmartAsset.com, 4th safest city. The list goes on. I'm on and on. I'm looking at 8 or 9 of these over the last couple of years. This is huge because that's what brings families to Santa Clarita. It's what brings commerce to Santa Clarita. It's what brings businesses to Santa Clarita. It's how we live in this giant town with the small town feel. It's what we come to know and love about Santa Clarita. So the question is, where is crime? So that's been going on the last couple of years. We keep getting all these accolades. How is crime doing? And it's a little bit of a mixed bag. So generally, and it's true today, but in the past, it's always been true that violent crime is very low in Santa Clarita. We're fortunate for that. Our problem here, as with many cities in the county or many cities in the state, is property crime. Our biggest property crimes are GTA, which is Grand Theft Auto, right? We all know what that is. Theft from unlocked vehicles, we all know what that is. Theft from open garages, and theft from businesses. So let's just talk about them real quick. Grand Theft Auto. So leaving your car unlocked or leaving your keys in the car, you would be surprised. I know I see familiar faces here. I know we've talked about this many times before. You'd be amazed at how many people leave their keys in the car. When you talk to your family and friends, please tell them not to leave their keys in the car. You know, if you've got an older car, you need a key to start the ignition, right? We know that. But newer cars don't need a key to start the ignition. So if somebody gets into your car and they just happen to push the start button and your keys are somewhere within the car, it's going to start up and they're going to drive away. You don't even need to go looking for the keys anymore, right? So anyway, that's a big thing. Unlocked cars. You would be shocked. You go into a large parking lot, say at the mall, at Best Buy, you name it, any large parking lot, and what the thieves will do is they'll walk through the parking lot and they'll just clip the door handles and wait for the first one to be unlocked, right? If you think about it, if you clip 30, 40 door handles, one of them is probably going to be unlocked. And then you rummage through the car, and unfortunately you've got theft from your car. Or what is very common is leaving valuables on your seats. Please, please, don't do that. So what's common? Purses, watches, telephones, you name it, laptops, you name it. So if the crook walks by, even if your car is locked, and they see that pot of gold sitting on the seat, right, they're going to smash the window. It takes seconds, guys. Seconds, steal it from your car. Ultimately, they're going to sell it or fence it, and they're going to use that money to buy typically drugs or alcohol or something else. So anyway, and then open garages. You would be amazed at how many people leave their garages open. Maybe some people forget. Maybe some people just do it out of habit. They just leave them open. We have a lot of theft from open garages. Imagine what do people leave in their garages? They have gun safes, they have tools, they have, you name it, expensive bicycles. Everybody's driving around electric bikes now and electric scooters. Those things are big bucks, right? So if somebody walks by, sees your garage unlocked, they don't even need, or open, they don't even need to break into it. Walk in there, grab it, and walk right out. And theft from businesses. So if you guys follow the newspaper, Signal and KHTS are our two larger media outlets out here. Certainly we have others, but you follow them, you see that there's all kinds of theft from our businesses, and that's happening everywhere. It's interesting. It used to be large retail chains like, for example, Walmart or Target or Best Buy, and you wouldn't hear of the mom and pops as often as you do now. And now a lot of mom and pop businesses are getting, there's a lot of theft from them. So you ask, so with regards to crime, so crime is going up. We've talked about this the last probably 8 or 9 or 10 months. Our crime's been going up in Santa Clarita since January 2021. Not at an alarming rate. There's no reason to panic. There's no reason to run and hide. Not an alarming rate, but it's ticking up every month, month after month after month after month after month. And the reason I bring it up is it's important because as time goes, we're going to start losing these awesome accolades that we've had over the last 2 years, these national accolades. It's a big deal. These are national publications, and we're going to start to lose that. And so you ask, well, why is that happening? Public safety is the cornerstone of any community. It's certainly the cornerstone of Santa Clarita. Again, it doesn't matter where you fall on the political scale, on the political spectrum. It doesn't matter where you grew up. It doesn't matter what you're into. It comes down to public safety, right? So what is the cause? Well, there's causes we know, and there's probably causes we don't know. I certainly can only give you guys facts. You guys know that. I won't make any political statements. But really what we're up against is, you guys remember coronavirus started 2 years ago in March 2020, right? We were so scared of it, we didn't know what to do. There was a statewide emergency no bail schedule that started March 2020. And it was probably very well intentioned, I would assume, by our lawmakers, and that was to help clear out the county jails and the state prisons. And essentially, it was statewide, every county in the whole entire state. And essentially what it did was, when an arrest is made, there is no more bail assigned to an arrest, right? So you arrest somebody, they don't have to bail out, post bail. Everybody is released on a citation or zero bail for all felonies and all misdemeanors, with some exceptions. You guys know the penal code's probably about this thick. There's an exception for about 20 or 30 misdemeanors and about 50 or 60 felonies. So let's call it 100 crimes. So think about it. Beginning March 2020, you get arrested for anything other than about 100 crimes. We're releasing you on a citation. You don't have to go to court for 4 months. You're released on a citation, and that's it. You're free to go. And as you can imagine, that's been very difficult for us to deal with, right? We've had a lot of repeat offenders. We've talked about repeat offenders here. Our repeat offenders are growing exponentially month after month since March 2020. So it's been very difficult. So the state rescinded that in June 2020, and LA County continued it to where we are today. Then we had a new DA come in December of 2020, started several more policies, and I'll briefly explain them to you, and I'll start wrapping up and take any questions. Basically, starting December 2020, same thing, elimination of cash bail for misdemeanors, non-serious felonies, and non-violent felonies. Everybody's released, own cognizance released. You're released at pretrial without any conditions. No sentencing enhancements for gang members, 3 strikes, or lying in wait. No arrest no DA filings for juvenile misdemeanors, and then a list of about a dozen misdemeanors, including drug possession and under the influence of drugs, that the DA will not file for. So what does that mean? Well, it's very simple. In the past, we would make an arrest for drug possession, for example, or being under the influence of drugs. We'd make the arrest. They would go to court. The judge would say, Mr. Smith, Mr. Jones, you've been arrested by the police for drug possession or being under the influence. I'm going to sentence you to drug classes, right? Or I'm going to sentence you to anger management, or I'm going to sentence you to some sort of mental health treatment, right? It was court-imposed classes, and that's great. So you get released, you get your court-imposed class and treatment, and that's it. Everybody's happy. You're out of jail. You're getting the help you need and all that good stuff. Well, now we can make the arrest, but the DA won't file it. So now we're making hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of arrests that the DA will not file. Basically, we make the arrest, the person's released, the detective takes a case to the DA's office, the DA refuses to file it. So what does that mean? That means that that drug offender is not getting any court-mandated treatment. They're not getting any mandated treatment for their drug addiction, for their alcohol addiction, for their anger management, for their mental health. And we just keep releasing them. So the overwhelming majority of the people we arrest, and I don't have the exact statistics, but it's probably in the low to mid 90%, are either released within 5 to 6 hours on a citation, and we release them literally right out the back door, or they're released from court by the district attorney at arraignment. And typically that's 48 court hours. And the reason that that is very difficult is we cannot incarcerate people and keep them from committing crimes. And our repeat offenders are growing exponentially every single month. And that, unfortunately, is probably one of our largest contributors to our rising crime, not only in LA County, well, not only in Santa Clarita, but in LA County. The court-mandated drug treatment, alcohol treatment, anger management is a big deal, guys. I can't force somebody to do it. If you have a family member who's an adult, more than likely you can't force them to do it. Even if you have a child who's a minor, and they're 16, 17, good luck in forcing them to do it. It's very difficult. So unless somebody's incarcerated, or, which is not happening, or receiving treatment, which is not happening, we're really falling behind the gun here. So that's what's going on. Other things just to talk about very, very quickly. What can you do to mitigate some of the crime in your area? If you have a business, anybody watching has a business. If you have your house, you're worried about your house getting broken into. You're worried about your community. We've got our crime prevention unit, Deputy Navarro standing in the back. Basically, our whole entire town is broken up. The whole entire Santa Clarita Valley is broken up into 8 zones. Each zone has got a zone leader. That's a deputy who's your zone leader. They're your one-stop shop. So Deputy Navarro is assigned to Canyon Country. They're your one-stop shop for anything you need in your area. So instead of calling the station, you've got a direct contact to Deputy Navarro. I'll remind Alan to send out the roster again with his contact information. But Deputy Navarro will help you with anything. So he could come out and look at your business, look at your house, say, hey, you need to add lights or signage or fix your fence, or, there's a multitude of things that we can look at your physical environment that may help alleviate or deter crime. Also, Deputy Navarro can certainly put you in touch with any resources. If you have family, friends that need drug, alcohol, mental health, the resources in Santa Clarita are absolutely unlimited. Most of them are no cost or very, very, very low cost. We will certainly make that happen for you, whether it's yourself, whether it's a family member. We will certainly make that happen and help you put you in touch with those resources. Other than that, anything you're interested in, if you want to know what's going on in your particular neighborhood or at your business, you can always go on crimemapping.com, type in your address. It'll show you exactly what's going on. That database is directly connected to us. I'll send that link back to Alan, and he can send it out to you guys. And the only other thing I would say is the LASD transparency page. This was a question that came up probably 3 or 4 meetings ago, and I think it was here. Somebody asked either about arrest statistics or use of force. The Sheriff Villanueva, he's been in office a few years, and he started the LASD transparency page. If you go on LASD.org, you can click on, at the bottom, you can click on transparency. It's unbelievable the amount of data in there. And basically, you can look up crime statistics, arrest statistics, use of force, deputy-involved shootings, complaints, all of our discipline, all of our manual policy and procedures, our body cameras. We just started body cameras a few months ago at Santa Clarita Station. You can look up the whole policy and everything about body cameras. It's a one-stop shop. It's a massive resource for anything you want to know about the department. All the data is uploaded there every month, and it's current. It's a great tool for residents, great tool for the media, great tool for anybody that wants any information. So with that, I've thrown a lot at you guys. We're doing great as a community. Our crime rate is still very, 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 very low. We have very little violent crime. The majority of our crime is property crime, so we're doing well. But we are falling, ticking behind month by month, and we want to turn that around. So, any questions? Anything about the department, Santa Clarita Valley, anything about the station, anything you guys want to know at all? No. Do you? Oh, okay. Okay.
Captain, it's appearing that we're starting to have a small gang war out here in Canyon Country. I see there was an arrest today of the drive-by, but I'm sure you guys are on top of that, but is it, what else is going to happen, or are you just keeping an eye on things?
Yeah, so great question. So you saw it in the Signal and KHTS. I think they both ran an article about our attempted murder that we arrested. That was, in fact, a gang member, and he was arrested. Our gang team, or our team of gang detectives, did a search warrant and made that arrest and recovered some evidence that I believe you probably saw in the paper. So we definitely don't have a gang problem here, but I will definitely say we have a gang issue here. We've had gangs out here for many years. Sometimes they're active, sometimes they're not. We're very fortunate that Santa Clarita is so spread out and our gangs are spread out. So typically when you work in other areas of the county or other sheriff stations, the gangs are right on top of each other and they're fighting over borders, which would be, main streets or residential streets. We're very fortunate in Santa Clarita that the gangs are spread out and they're not fighting over actual borders or territory. I can assure you that we've got deputies working 24/7, literally. Our gang unit is out all the time. We've got gang detectives out there. We've got gang enforcement. I can tell you just tonight we've got an extra 12 deputies and 2 sergeants out in addition to patrol. And they're saturating this area right down the street, basically our Canyon Country area off Soledad and Whites Canyon. We're working with the school district. I know Sierra Vista had a lockdown the other day because we had an incident right down the street from them. Canyon High was right around the corner and also affected, so we've been in contact with their principals. We've got our school resource deputies, as you know, at all of our high schools and middle schools, and they also help out at our elementary schools. And our school sergeant, Sergeant Marino, has been in contact with those principals and those superintendents, if not a daily basis, every couple days. So definitely something we will not ignore. We'll actively pursue and investigate any allegations, any gang members, anything like that. So great question.
Hello, I had a quick question.
Sure.
It sounded like the no bail policy came out of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Is there an expiration date on that, or is that something that we need?
If you would have asked me, a great question. If you would have asked me a year ago, I would have said, it'll be over soon. Unfortunately not. So statewide, it stopped. It started March 17, 2020, and it ended late June. I think it was June 26, 2020, statewide. And then LA County continued it from late June to where we are currently. That is a great question. That would be a question for our Board of Supervisors. We've got five on the board. That would be a question for them. So that's only half of the equation. That's one half. The other half is the DA that came in December 2020 and started 9 new directives and really, turned the criminal justice system upside down, unfortunately. So great question. I wish I had an answer for you. Of course. Thank you.
Hey, good evening, Captain. 2 quick ones. How's the new home? How's the new station? Looks beautiful. How's it working out? And also, any time frame on are the volunteers on patrol coming back, or I know they've been stopped by COVID?
Great question. So the new station is great. Obviously, I gotta thank the city and the county for partnering up and building that. Our old station was 49 years old. Something that you would see out of a movie. Literally, when you walk in there, it's I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to go film a movie there, next week or something. But the new station was a $70 million project. It's built for the next 50 years to serve this community for 50 years. There's room for expansion for actual deputy sheriffs to add more people in there to further serve the expanding community, which is nice. Very modern. You can imagine moving from a place that's 50 years old, especially the jail. You can imagine how a jail's changed in 50 years. It's pretty significant, actually. Not only better for the inmates, but better for the employees. You don't want to be incarcerated or work in a jail that's 50 years old, so that's nice. Regarding volunteers on patrol, it's a great question. When COVID started, March 2020, which was the first week I started here, so it's almost been 2 years, I had to make the very, very difficult choice of telling all our volunteers, I'm sorry, I can't have you in the station. It was too risky. Our volunteers were generally 60 plus. We have 80-something volunteers at the station, if you count all the volunteers, search and rescue and reserves. And I had to, unfortunately, not let them in the station. We will probably have a meeting in the next week or two to determine when we'll bring them back, but I think we can all pretty much agree, not maybe universally, but the overwhelming majority, that it's about time to start bringing them back. It looks like COVID numbers are declining. I just got to be very careful because our volunteer group is a much older segment, and we've had COVID ravage the station over the last 2 years. You can imagine none of us got to work from home. We're literally here all day, every day, and never closed the doors. Nobody got to telecommute. Not one single employee in the whole station out of 240 people got to telecommute, and every single solitary person came to work. And at that, I have 21-year-old deputy sheriffs that were in the hospital and everything in between. So it hit us pretty hard, regardless of age, interestingly enough, and it's really scary with the older volunteers. So anyway, to answer your question, probably in the next month or so, I think things are kind of slowing down, and I'll tell you, once we stopped using the volunteers, it really put the station at a halt. They were doing so many jobs at the station. You can imagine 80-something people spread out doing jobs at the station almost 7 days a week. It almost brought us to our knees. We had to stop a lot of different services and reallocate, give jobs. People had to take on 2 and 3 jobs that the volunteers were doing. So we're looking forward to it. We'll probably put it out and try and recruit more, because we've got a lot of volunteers that have been out for 2 years, and they just, they're done. They're aging, and they don't want to be around the station because there's still COVID at the station. So we'll probably do a big hiring campaign, or to get more volunteers and see how that goes. Yeah, I mean, pretty much the same thing. No, we haven't. The next couple of weeks when we meet, we'll talk about that. To answer your question, we haven't done station tours. We've done, a couple private ones here and there for some small groups, but no big public event. Same thing with ride-alongs. We stopped doing ride-alongs. We just had to play it. I had to make the decision to play it safe as possible. And it was tough, and it is tough, especially seeing all the guys and gals assigned to the station getting sick. So soon, though, keep your eyes peeled. We'll put something out on social media. But thank you. That's a great question. Great questions, guys. Anything else? Oh, we have another one? One more? Do we have another one?
There's just a lot of posts about there being quite a few gangs out here. I love Canyon Country. I've been out here 44 years. I don't want to feel scared to live in my town, so I don't like hearing those kind of things, nor do I really believe some of the stuff that gets put out there. So I was really just curious about your perspective on it.
Well, you bring up a good point. I actually have it in my notes, and I was taking a long time, and I want to keep boring you guys with stuff. But and you have a 2-part question. So listening to the scanners is, you got to be careful. If you're listening to live and you're forming your own opinion based on what you heard, that's okay. But it's somebody listening to the scanner and then putting it on social media. And so I always encourage people, please get your news from a reputable source. So what are our reputable sources? The Signal, KHTS, What's Up SCV, Austin Dave. I know there's others, but those 4 come to mind. Get it from a reputable source, because when you get it from a guy or gal that listens to the scanner and then puts it on social media, you know how that goes. The tail.
When the school shut down, and then the Big Lots incident, and prior to that was, I assume the arrest was made in the bicycle incident on White's Canyon?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because it said the kid's permanently paralyzed. I didn't realize that. I thought he ran.
He is permanently paralyzed,
That's
yes.
really sad to hear.
So I'm sorry. So to answer your question about gangs, we do have 3 prominent gangs, Hispanic gangs in Santa Clarita. They have been here for many, many, many years. Unfortunately, we've got gang members, not gangs, but other gang members from the San Fernando Valley and the Antelope Valley that come into Santa Clarita for various reasons. Some could come from work, some could visit family members. Some could be, for gun sales, things like that. And when they do, on occasion, they'll fight with our 3 gangs that are out here. The 3 gangs that are out here, again, we've already kind of talked about it. One's based in Valverde, one's based in Newhall, and one's based in Canyon Country. And we're fortunate because they're not on top of each other like they would be in other cities. They're spread out. But of course, like any gang would do, at some point they fight either over women or drugs or guns or money or not turf in our case out here, and then when gang members come from the San Fernando Valley or the Antelope Valley, that just throws another kink into it. So I won't mention who those gangs are. I'm sure people know. I won't even give them the notoriety. I won't even talk about them in this public forum. But certainly 3 well-established gangs. We don't have any established African American gangs out here or white gangs. There are African American gang members and white gang members, but no actual established areas or established gangs.
Like I said, just was ignorant. I didn't even realize we had the 3.
Yeah, well.
That's good or bad.
Yeah, well, I don't know what that answer is. The point is to be informed and not be paranoid. And then, as always, if you see something, you got to say something. There's 310,000 people in Santa Clarita Valley, and there's 240 of us. And we can't be everywhere, obviously everywhere at all at once. And a lot of people don't want to call the station because they're embarrassed or they don't want to be on a recorded line. You can always be anonymous. You can go to crimestoppers.com and report anything, but we need witnesses and we need informants to call us. Otherwise, we can't solve crimes. We need businesses to have surveillance. Once a crime occurs, we need businesses to say, yes, here is your surveillance, or we need people to say, hey, I saw so-and-so do this or that. They can be anonymous, but we need their help. We can't be everywhere. The valley is just way, way, way too big. Too many streets, too many cars, too many houses. And obviously 240 of us versus 310,000 people. Those ratios are pretty small. Great question. Thank you. Anything else? Yes, sir.
Still on for steak and eggs next week?
Steak and eggs. Where's steak and eggs at?
Coffee really hot?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There won't be steak and eggs. Maybe coffee and eggs. Yes. Yes. Oh, gosh. What's that? That's right off of Soledad, right? Is that where we're doing it? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Great. Thank you. Are you going to be there? Okay. Bring the steak and the eggs. Anything else? Well, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.